The High Gravity Basic Brewing discount code is back. If you go to highgravitybrew.com and purchase a Warthog electric system or controller and use the code EBC75BB, you'll save $75 off your purchase. And to find out the wide range of Warthog products eligible, head on over to basicbrewing.com and click on the High Gravity Basic Brewing Code Deals link on the right-hand side of the page. EBC75BB is good on the Build Your Own Brewing System page, Warthog Brew in a Bag, 2-vessel and 3-vessel systems, and, of course, the standalone controllers if you want to build your own system out of gear you already have. Take the pain out of propane for $75 off using EBC75BB on highgravitybrew.com. That's highgravitybrew.com. Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, June 17th, 2021. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, Meadmaker Tim Leber takes Steve Wilkes and me on a sampling excursion with 5 meads, and we get to taste the honeys that go along with them. Will Steve and I be able to guess which is which? Stay tuned. If you go to basicbrewing.com, you can find archives of our audio and video shows, and if you go to basicbrewingshop.com, you can find our DVDs and our brewers' logbooks. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Basic Brewing and find our show page on Facebook as well. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing, and thanks to everybody who's helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. Financial supporters have already seen the video episode I'm planning to post on Friday. It's the episode featuring the lager that I made with 100% Rauch malt from Sugar Creek Malting up in Indiana. I still have a couple of bottles of that left, and I'm smoking a turkey breast this afternoon, so I think that would be a delicious pair. Thanks to everybody on Patreon who is supporting our efforts. I've shot a bonus episode for the Patreon feed where I made a fermented pepper sauce with serrano, jalapeno, and super sweet peppers. It's nasty looking. I'm not going to lie. But it sure tastes good. Fun to play with a blend of different pepper varieties just to get some sweetness along with the heat. I'll post that in the coming weeks. So sign up at patreon.com/basicbrewing. Let's take a quick look into the mailbag. Danny from Boonville in upstate New York wrote after hearing last week's episode with Keith Villa from Saria Brewing. Danny says, I didn't think I was going to enjoy your last episode on brewing with cannabis for a bunch of reasons related to cannabis, but I did actually enjoy it. Keith sounds very knowledgeable, and his life story was very interesting. You should totally have him back on the show sometime soon. Well, I appreciate that, Danny. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And as I said last week, I'm a cannabis lightweight, so I don't know if I'll personally be brewing any, THC or CBD beers anytime soon, but I love hearing about different brewing techniques and the science behind them. And, Keith is just a darned interesting guy. I think we just scratched the surface last week, so I hope he joins us after his book, Brewing with Cannabis, comes out in August. I brewed a beer on Monday that I'm hoping will be a tasty Belgian-inspired brown ale, and my plan is to add a can of dark, sweet cherry puree into the keg with it. And I'm hoping it will be something akin to New Glarus's Wisconsin Belgian Red, but I doubt it will be that delicious. But if it's 25% as tasty as that beer, I'll be happy. I fermented it with B48 Triple Double from our friends and sponsors at Imperial Organic Yeast. And the airlock smells pretty funky right now, not going to lie, but I'm taking that as a good sign. I like to say that my stir plate is dusty because I don't use it anymore for moderate gravity 5-gallon batches with Imperial Organic Yeast, but this one is no exception. I'm wondering whether a blow-off tube is in order because that Imperial yeast is very happy and reaching toward the opening of the carboy. I mentioned last week that Imperial now has a YouTube channel, and on it you can see videos on how to do a diacetyl force test, forced fermentation, and a wort stability test, along with proper yeast pitching advice, and even how to make a starter if you're making a big high-gravity batch and just need to step up a pouch of Imperial from the 200 billion cells that are in there. Just search for Imperial Yeast on YouTube. Ask your local homebrew shop about Imperial organic yeast, and check them out at imperialyeast.com. Okay, it's always fun to get together with Tim Leber and Steve Wilkes, of course. Tim sent us 5 mystery samples of honey with their corresponding meads and challenged us to put our taste buds to the test. Tim Leber, welcome back to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And joining us from a secluded location somewhere on the border of Farmington and Fayetteville, Arkansas, is Steve Wilkes of stevesbrewshop.com.
I'm hermetically sealed in a mayonnaise jar on Duncan Wagnall's porch.
Since noon today.
Since noon Wednesday.
Well, we had a little discussion before we turned on the microphone, because what we've got here is 5 meads and then 5 little vials of honey, which is something I don't think we've done before. And then we have a list of descriptors of these 5 honeys, and then in an envelope that is labeled answer key and in parentheses mayonnaise jar sold separately. So Tim listens to the show way too much, and is a member of our generation, I guess you could say. So we discussed whether we were going to taste all of them and then try to guess which is which. But then we thought, we're recording on a Sunday, early Sunday afternoon. That's too much pressure. Let's just have some fun. And so what we're going to do is we're going to taste each mead, and then we're going to kind of glance at the descriptors and maybe take a guess. And then, one by one, we'll find out whether we're right or whether we're wrong. So isn't that what we agreed on?
It is.
Okay.
Works for me. I already know the answers.
Yeah, so. Well, yeah. You've got a friend on the faculty.
Yes.
And you've made a contribution to the retirement fund of the teachers. So talk about this experiment, Tim. What do we got?
All right. So when I get new honey to me in, I like to make a test batch, and of a kind of small mead, around 11% or so, just to get an idea of what that honey tastes like once it's fermented, because the raw honey and the fermented honey can have pretty different flavors. So I had 5 that were new to me honeys at one time, and I thought, let's just do this. So I made them, and then I decided to send them on. So they all have the same ingredients and the same amount of honey, and I made them all sparkling with carbonation drops, because I think that helps get the impression of the flavor and everything. So it's 1.25 kilograms of honey in a 5-liter batch, and I believe I've got somewhere here what that is in pounds. Yeah, it's 2.75 pounds in 1.32 gallons. For those of us that have not converted to real numbers yet. I fermented them at 62 Fahrenheit or 16.6 C, or if you really want to know, 289.8 degrees Kelvin.
That's what I'm switching to.
Yeah. And I cold crashed them, help them clear, and then I bottled them and threw carb tabs in them. So I've opened 1 or 2, so the ones I opened were carbonated, so we'll see.
And I don't think you talked about the yeast.
No, they all use QA23 yeast, which is kind of becoming one of my house strains for white mead, because I just like the way the kind of esters and everything it gets, and it helps the honey, but it doesn't really get in the way. It's not like champagne that just ferments everything, and it's just it kind of rocket fuel in the end. So they're all QA23, all the same amount of honey, same amount of water, and fermented. They all lived side by side in my spare kegerator. So I shouldn't call it spare. It's not actually a kegerator anymore, but it's a nice cold box.
And
So,
what was your nutrient regimen?
My nutrient regimen, I use Fermento for everything. I don't remember exactly how much I used, but I do staggered nutrient addition Fermento. Um, I really like the results I get from Fermento. I think it's smoother and less chance for fusels. One of these days I'm going to run, Fermento and DAP side by side and see how that goes. But I think it's a lot smoother, a lot nicer with Fermento.
And did you
And then
do a single edition or a staggered
no,
edition?
they're all staggered. They're all staggered. So they're if I'm doing a melomel, I do the first edition at 24 hours. But if I'm doing a trad, I do my first edition up front when I mix everything, help the yeast get going, and then it's every other day until it's all used. So, and these are very small amounts because 5 liters is not much. So we're talking, a couple grams total.
Right.
Yeah. Go look it up on the calculators if you want to know. I calculate it all out, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head.
And of course, for mead newbies, you want to degas an active fermentation before you add your nutrients.
Yeah, you'll make that mistake once, and then you remember. It's Mentos and Diet Coke comes to mind. I've heard it called a mead cano. The thing is, folks, 5 liters is 1 1/3 gallons. Doesn't sound like that much until it's shooting out of the top of your little demijohn there, and you're desperately trying to figure out what to do with it. And that's a lot of liquid on the floor of your kitchen. A lot of sticky liquid on the floor of your kitchen. So you'll only make that mistake once. I actually put everything in a bus tub. So in case something does overflow, I can kind of contain it. Another thing that works is you go to the home and garden store, and they sell these plastic trays to go under plants. They sell those big enough that a carboy goes in them. It won't contain much, but it'll contain most of the mess. And my whole goal is not to clean.
Well, I'm with you, especially with honey.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending. It's a never-ending story.
Yeah.
Welcome to the sticky house.
Yeah.
Okay, now just run down. Don't get into the details of the descriptions, or of the honeys. But what's the list of honeys that we're tasting today?
So I've got High Plains sweet clover, which is different than the clover honey you generally see. It's from a specific part of the country. I've got coriander blossom. I've got carrot blossom, quince blossom, and mustard blossom.
Now, is coriander blossom, would that be the same as?
It's the same as the herb,
but it's and I always forget the name of cilantro. Thank you.
Cilantro is the leaf, coriander is the seed, and coriander is what you use in saisons and wit beer. So,
but these would be bees visiting cilantro plants, essentially.
Yes.
Okay. Just so our, and I don't know why we call the green leafy stuff cilantro, and the seed the other thing, but it's all coriander over in the UK, I think. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So any other details before we get in on the sensory stuff?
I don't think so. Like I said, these are all around 11% alcohol, with one exception. And they all fermented fairly nicely, down to, around 1, with one exception. So, they all did pretty well. And that one, I'm not sure is just something in the honey or something else, but yeah, it only took, about 20 days to reach terminal gravity. So, it's a real nice, easy process.
So should we taste the honey first and then the mead, or the other way around?
I think because the honey is kind of be sweet and kind of coat your palate, unless you've got some bubble water, you might want to taste the mead first.
Okay. So here I'm opening number one.
Number one.
There's a little bit of a hiss.
Yeah.
And I have a sink here in the studio, just in case. But
yeah.
I take it that if there's a problem, it'll be on undercarbonating rather than overcarbonating.
That's what I think.
Oh, wow. That smells really nice.
Mm-hmm. It's very good. I'm drinking mine out of martini glass.
Oh, fancy.
I don't know why, but
a sophisticated.
Well, I wanted to drink them out of glass, and I didn't have enough matching glasses, so I had to move over to the martini glasses. And
are you using olives or onions?
Neither, surprisingly. So I've already had one martini glass full of this while you guys were talking.
Wow.
At first, my very first sip of it, I wasn't sure I liked it. Then it grew on me very quickly. And it had kind of an odd flavor at first, and I thought, well, maybe that's mustard blossom. And I don't mean by odd, I don't mean off or not brewed right. That's not what I mean. But it had like a flavor that I've not tasted before. And so I was thinking, well, could that be the mustard? Only Mr. Mustard was down in the parlor. So it couldn't be him.
With the lead pipe.
I honestly don't know what it is, but it's really nice. But it is very unique. I don't think I've ever had whatever this mead is. I've not had it before.
There is a sharpness to it. There's a sweetness on the nose, and there's a honey, that honeycomb smell on the nose that tells you that it's honey. Mm-hmm. But then when you taste it, there is a sharpness to it. It's not overly sweet.
There's a savory quality to it. Which again, I mean, but I don't know. I've never had quince blossom. I've never had mustard blossom. I don't think I've ever had coriander blossom. So I'm really a little out of my depth. But boy, it's very unique, and there's really growing on me.
Yeah, there's, like I say, there's a sharpness on the tongue that at first it's like, woo, I wasn't expecting that. But it definitely is, as you like to say, it's a grown-up drink. It's not a super sweet honey beverage. Fairly dry, although there is kind of like a residue on the tongue afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it strikes me as dry, but then it's actually really refreshing. So go figure.
And it's got a kind of an orangish hue.
It does have an orangish hue. Back to this martini glass, it looks like a Manhattan.
So you
need to mix your Manhattan stronger.
That's right.
So I'm going to take my spoon and dip it in the honey a little bit. That honey does not have the kind of not acrid, but the bitter or the sharpness of the mead. And you would probably expect that since it's a lot sweeter.
But it's not a terribly sweet honey. Mm-mm. I've got a honey here at home.
Does your wife know?
That's what I was going to say. No, she's in New York. But my honey here at home is very sweet.
Yeah, this would go nice
I've got some...
for breakfast on a biscuit or something. Well,
But I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Based on the flavor of the mead, I would say maybe you put it in my mind, but maybe mustard. But the honey doesn't taste like mustard. I don't know. So what is it? What is it, Tim?
That is the carrot blossom.
Ah.
So,
okay.
And it finished at 10:02. I mean, 10:0. Yeah, very low down there. 10.7% alcohol.
Huh.
So
Now, the description says carrot blossom honey has a wonderful aroma, sharper than most, and sweet but clear, almost like an exotic wood or even peppery. It doesn't taste like carrots. It has a strong flavor, which will initially impress you as a caramel, but then begins the intriguing journey of an aftertaste. What?
Yeah.
I've been down that
Okay.
road.
I stole these descriptors off of the vendors' websites.
Okay.
Oh, good, because
It's a little like walking
wonder
through
what
a
you were
flower
smoking.
garden, capturing the fresh, crisp aromas of peony and other blossoms. The aromas of peony.
Yeah.
You don't want to stay away from
Oh,
that
my.
candle.
yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
I
I
didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it could be carrot, but it is kind of orange. I mean, the meat itself is orange.
yeah.
So go with what you know, I guess, huh? Well, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been trying to get a decent amount of for years, and finally got a decent deal on it. So I've got, about one and a quarter 3/4 gallons left of this honey. So I've got a fair amount of it. So it's going to move up to a full size batch pretty soon.
Wow.
Now, when you say a full size batch, what will be the ABV that you'll shoot for?
I'm probably going to shoot for around 14. Just a little more.
Okay.
But I try to shoot around 14-15%. Is where I try to go. Sometimes I end up over that because sometimes the honey has more sugar in it than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody assumes honey's around 80 bricks or 80% sugar, but some honeys are more, some honeys a little less. And I don't always take my sugar refractometer to it to see.
Well, this is very nice, and I actually kind of like it. I like meads that are around 11 and 12%. They're not so strong that they just knock you down and put you in the hospital, but they're strong enough. They're like drinking a moderate wine, and so I really like this a lot. I like it. I think it maybe if it had just a little bit rounder shoulders with the sweetness, just a tiny bit. But other than that, sheesh, I could drink this forever.
But you can do that later. But I'm
Yeah, true.
until you run out of the bottle. But I'm on to mead number 2, and I see it.
You're always a quick date, though.
Well, you guys were talking. It's a little more cloudy than mead number 1, and it's a shade sort of darker, like maybe on the browner scale. It's more looks more kind of like a beer. I'm getting a little bit of peppery notes, as in, bell pepper or like the flesh of a jalapeno pepper. Not necessarily the spiciness of that, but
Yeah, there's a little vegetableness to it, just a bit. Not a lot, not as much as like a Chamberson wine.
there's a little bit of a lingering sweetness on the end of it. The nose doesn't smell as sort of honeycombish as the first one. Yeah, there's not the bite of the first one. It's a less astringent is a not the word I'm looking for, but you know what? There's a kind of a bite to the first one. That's a sharpness that is not as is pronounced in this one. But it's a really nice drinker.
Yeah, it almost has some undertones of some other spices going on in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for clues.
Yeah, is there coriander in there? It'd make it a lot easier.
No spoilers.
So, Steve, I think I know you are a fan of cilantro. or the leafy coriander. Tim, are you a fan, or do you get the soapiness?
I'm a fan. I use handfuls of the stuff when I cook Thai and Mexican food. So, by the way, this mead is the one that finished the highest in gravity and the lowest in alcohol. So
I was going to say it has a little more mouthfeel than mead number 1.
it doesn't taste sweet, but it is a little fuller than that first one was.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay, I'm going to taste the honey. Now, what you need to do in post is you need to cue that in with Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass. Taste.
Okay. Much.
Or the
Beatles.
Really? They did a taste of honey?
Mm-hmm.
A taste of honey.
Oh,
Because honey is a very amber,
there's almost a copper, not super metallic, but to me it tastes kind of like copper, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
I suck on pennies all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure digesting heavy metals could ever not be in a bad way.
It's kind of a New York thing. He's a scum-sucking lion, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
It tastes kind of like
That's New
lead
York
paint.
for bless your heart.
Scum-sucking peahead with a lousy physique. He's a one-man, no-good, losing streak. Fans of Dr. Demento will remember that one. Interesting.
Well, I just don't have a clue.
Yeah, it's got kind of a maybe a little bit oaky, a little bit coppery kind of flavor, not overly sweet. Huh.
Maybe kind of licorice.
Yeah.
I don't get
some licorice.
that.
I do.
Huh.
It also has an interesting mouthfeel. It feels kind of glossy. I don't know how it feels like it has glycerin in it, maybe.
Huh. Yeah. Of course, the number 1 was crystallized a bit, so that may affect that. This one is all liquid in mine. So I don't know if that
crystallized
enters into it. I'm going to say just for grins and giggles, I'm going to say coriander.
I don't have it. I'm going to let you stand on that. I'll rest my case.
Gonna walk that plank by yourself.
Yeah, well,
That's right. I'm not voting.
All right.
You abstain.
I register present.
Yeah, present.
Okay.
What is it, Tim?
It's coriander blossom.
Okay, not that we're keeping score.
Very good.
But
Interesting. Maybe because you said, there may be some spice in there in the undertones or whatever. Oh, I tasted it again after I tasted the honey. It's very much brighter. The alcohol, I guess, brings very much. It makes it a lot brighter, and really accentuates those flavors, but then changes them at the same time. And does the yeast have some? Are there flavor components of the yeast that we're tasting too, Tim?
yeah, if you want, I can give you a quick description of the yeast. I just need to go look that up. Well, I'm in the middle of doing other mead stuff, so I've actually got my my horribly complicated spreadsheet open that has all this stuff in it. I just need to go so the descriptor for QA23, according to the Scott Labs Bible, is
What chapter and verse?
well, the yeast chapter. So QA23 is an excellent thiol converter, making a complementary yeast for developing a varietal Sauvignon Blanc, fruit character, large amounts of enzyme, beta-glucodice, gluco whatever. And I had science classes. I should know. Are produced during growth, which allow for the release of bound terpenes with an aromatic value, has a low nutrient requirement, and will ferment with a low turbidity at a low temperature to dryness. So it does have kind of an estery thing. It's used for Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Blanc, muscat and aromatic whites. It's one of the reasons I like it for mead. I think it helps accentuate the varietal character and the aroma character of the honeys.
You got a little muscat love.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh God. Now I have to go take a shower. I sell the QA23 just for that reason. I promote it to guys who are looking for something a little different, and the only thing they know to ask for is EC 118 and.
I hate that yeast.
Yeah. Well, I generally I don't allow it in the store. I make it go. I make it eat lunch by itself, stuff like that. But
yeah.
But at any rate, that's what people don't ask for. So I try to, depending on what they're making. But the QA23, Portuguese white wine yeast, really great for that kind of lighter fare. And nobody's come back and said, "Hey, I really hated that yeast." So, yay.
Let's take a break from talking about mead to talk about mead. Ricky the Meadmaker from Groenfell Meadery says, Meaderitaville is live on Groenfell.com. Meaderitaville is the fourth in the Havoc Sour series, and they say it's just as twisted and delicious as the previous series sours, Rumble, Curmudgeon, and Sour Meadmaker. Meaderitaville is inspired by dreams of the beach, and Nate at the Meadery calls it beach bum chic. Margaritaville has a pineapple base with added orange, lime, and agave nectar to amp up the Arita factor. And yes, it's finished sour. And the label art is designed by Chris Lyons, who won a label design contest to be featured on the cans. Very cool. Check it out with all the other deliciously drinkable Groenfell and Havoc meads at family-owned and operated Groenfell.com. That's GROENNFELL.
All right, number 3.
I'm sipping on number 3. It's lighter. It's the lightest color yet.
Smells like honey.
It's my least favorite so far. Not to taint your opinion.
Well, I didn't do it on purpose, but I think 2 of the strongest flavored honeys ended up, first. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
is much lighter.
Yeah, there's almost a sulfury, skunky flavor to it. Is that just my mind?
I don't get that.
You don't?
Yeah. Mm-mm. I just get I don't get a skunkiness. I just get it. It just smells like honey to me.
Huh.
Like
well, I think it's well made. I'm not casting any aspersions toward your way, Tim, but I think it's just there's a flavor component that I don't know. I just don't I don't cotton to. But you may feel free to differ, Steve.
Well, I am differing. Just I'm swallowing while I'm differing.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it is tough act to follow from the first 2, which were much more flavorful. This one is much, much lighter. I'm going to go out on a crazy limb here and say it's probably the clover honey. But that's just because clover is so light generally. But it's very light. It has very delicate notes. There is a bit of astringency in the back end that I pick up, which I'm not sure what that's about, but the honeyness of it is really nice, and it's really light. And I think that had we had these in reverse order, if we'd had number 3 first, you might feel differently. I'm not sure about that, but it's just that it's it's kind of like following a slug of 100 proof rum with a I don't know, with a beer. It's like the beer didn't taste like anything.
I'm gonna go ahead and taste the honey for number 3.
Oh yeah, okay. Good idea.
I need a smaller spoon.
So this one finished at 0.997 and is 11.1%. So.
Now this honey,
very light.
the honey is better than the translation in the beverage, but there's still just kind of a little note in there that it's not as good. It's my least favorite of the batch so far.
It's just not for you.
It's just not for me.
Yeah. And that's okay. Not everybody has to like everything.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's mustard blossom. I don't know what you. It's up to you, Steve, whether you guess or not. The odds are getting better.
Yeah,
they are. Next one's 50-50.
I better get the last one right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I really don't have a clue. I'm going to say it's sweet clover.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Tim?
It is the mustard blossom.
There you go. James, you're hitting on all cylinders today.
Yeah. Yeah. This one, like you said, the honey, there's a little something to the honey, and there's a little something to the mead. I think blended into something else is like part of a
hot dog
okay.
honey. It'd go good with hot dog.
Yeah, it'd go good if it's not the lead player. I think it's like the bass player. You know, he's pretty good, but you don't make him the star. You know,
I'd be careful. Be careful with that.
So the descriptor is mustard blossom honey has a distinctive taste with a little mustard touch, which makes it different from other types of honey. The original and fresh texture of this natural flower wild honey is going to be everyone's favorite in your house.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
We got a lot of this. So. We got a lot of this stuff. We got to move it.
It's, like I said, I went to the vendor's website, so your mileage may vary.
Well, Steve liked it, so, and again, it's not a reflection on the mead maker. It's just and that's one of the reasons why doing these experiments like this and doing shows like this is important, because the raw ingredient takes such a lead in the flavor components that, doing these experiments, you get to know them and you find out whether you want to go big or not.
Yep.
Well, it can also inform you as to, do I want to make this star? Do I want to pair it with fruit? Do I want to pair it with spice? This I'd probably put into a metheglin where that kind of savory, kind of odd thing in the back actually plays into it very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
I would think this would play nicely with a lot of Indian spices.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
interesting and fun.
Yeah, but that's why you only make 5 liters of it and not 5 gallons. Because if you really hated it and you made 5 gallons, then you'd become unwelcome at parties after a while too, because here he comes with that mead again.
But you could also blend this mead, with, or number 3 with with others just on the spot too, Yeah.
I think it'd be a good cooking mead too. If you just deglaze a pan with it,
Yeah, it would. It would actually be really good to cook with.
Go good with brats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, with German food, with Thai food, anything like that, it would go well. So it would be good. It would be good as a companion to dinner, where maybe it might not stand up on its own as well, just in the form it's in right now. I do pick up a little bit of mustard though with it, as time has gone on, and maybe my mind has been talked into it. But there is just a hint of of mustard. And, you know, mustard greens, if you cook greens a lot, which we do at our house, mustard greens are really powerful, and you have to be kind of careful with them because they can overwhelm a good pot of greens real fast.
Huh.
So, yeah, I like it, though. I don't have any problem with it at all.
I'm tasting mead number 4. Excuse me. It's the lightest of them all so far. And I think my favorite. I'm going to jump right out there. My favorite so far.
Wow. You didn't even wait to register with that. Okay.
And I think I have a guess. I like it.
This is very light.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
man.
That's really good, though.
That's so
really
good.
good.
It's just all honey. There's no, fancy, variant in there. It's just all what I think of, when I think of honey is this. It's just, there's a sweetness there, but it's well balanced in this. And so it's dry enough to where it's not, sticky sweet. Oh my goodness. This is so good.
So this started at 1089 and finished at 1006. So it started higher than everything else and finished higher than most of the rest. The coriander blossom finished higher. But because of that, it came in at 11.1%.
Well, you wouldn't know
That's super good.
Wow.
Yeah,
Super
this is
good.
also destined for a full batch.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I think I am going to do this right around this ABV and make it sparkling because I think the bubbles help bring this mead alive.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna try the honey.
Woo!
Yeah, it's a distinctive honey.
Super sweet, fairly clean. I mean, there's not a lot of weird flavor descriptors. It's just kind of nice and just tastes like honey.
Wow. That's super good.
I think I've got a guess on this one, Steve.
Yeah, I've got a guess, too. I'm sure I'll be wrong, but I've got a guess.
Well, we got a 50% chance. What's your glass? What's your glass? We're at this stage of the show. What's your guess?
I'm going with quince.
What? Okay.
I'm going with quince.
I'm going to go with sweet clover.
I know. I'm bucking the trends here.
Just because it's just so familiar, and just like, oh, that's got to be clover. It's just got to, because it just tastes like honey.
Well, I agree, except for I'm going with quince.
All right, Tim.
Steve, you should have yielded to peer pressure. It's sweet clover.
Yeah, I figured it was.
Now, do you guys get cinnamon out of the honey?
I do, yeah.
I
really do.
Now that you've said that, let me try it again. There's a dead fly in mine, but other than that,
I actually, guys, I figured this was the clover. I was just kind of going, well, I've never had quince honey before, so maybe it's super light and I'll just luck out. But I definitely do get the cinnamon on this.
Yeah, I could be talked into cinnamon really easily. Boy, that's so good.
And I get it in the mead as well. That light cinnamon in the background.
Yep.
So this is High Plains sweet clover as opposed to the clover honey you see at regular stores.
Right.
So when you go to the grocery store and buy clover honey, it's not going to have that cinnamon character to it.
Man,
I really like.
When you say high plains, does that mean that it's coming from a discrete area?
Yeah, it's coming from Montana,
okay,
North and South Dakota, up in that area.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah, it's my second favorite honey out of this group, actually.
Oh.
So.
Maybe we'll wait.
Well, it's very nice.
Wait and reveal that at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is one of those meads. When I taste it, it's like, that's why I do this.
Yeah. This is really good.
Yeah, I've got access to a local honey, harvested probably, I don't know, maybe 5-10 miles from my house at the most, and it's very similar to this. Although my honey is a little heavier, because it's a wildflower honey. It's not pure clover, but there's a lot of clover in it, and it's very, very similar. Although my honey is a little bit heavier, It makes a slightly more golden mead, but otherwise it's the same mead.
Yeah.
I'm tasting number 5.
Alrighty.
Number 5.
Now we're number 5. Now we're getting into the honey that has some some interesting stuff that you got to think about now. It's not, with number 4, with the clover honey, it was just like, I don't have to think. I'm just like, I'm in heaven. This is, I know what I'm tasting. It's just it's just so familiar.
Did we read the descriptor for the clover honey, by the way?
No. Thank you. Sweet clover, a native to the Mediterranean region, sweet clover now grows bountifully throughout the hot and dry high plains of the Midwestern United States. Honeybees transform the nectar from the white and yellow flowers into a supremely unique light honey. It's possible for one strong bee colony to make up to 200 pounds of sweet clover honey in just 1 year. Upon opening the jar, an intense cinnamon aroma announces our High Plains sweet clover honey. Honey connoisseurs recognize this distinctive aroma and flavor immediately. This cinnamon is joined with caramel and nutmeg, followed by a lingering, spicy finish on the palate. And you guys can't use my voice in your ads, by the way, you honey people.
Yeah.
I should read the descriptors in a funny voice. That way, like my voice isn't funny, but Okay, number 5.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. It's the mesquite honey. Oh, wait.
It's a surprise guest. Okay, so now what's a quince?
A quince is an apple-like fruit, but they're very hard, and they have a very strong floral aroma. But you can't eat a quince, because basically they're rock hard. You can cook with it, but then you've got to cook them a long time so they, get soft. A lot of people will use them. Some mead makers will use a percentage of quince juice. Not cider makers use a percentage of quince juice in their ciders. But there's something you cook with, not you make jelly with it or marmoleo. There's a quince paste they make in Spain and Latin American countries that goes with cheese. It's kind of that yellowish orange or reddish or orangish red brick you'll see in the gourmet section over by the fancy pants cheese.
That's where I shop.
Yeah.
You'll find Steve over there.
Fancy pants.
You go to places where you spend your whole paycheck on, a piece of produce, that they have it.
We've got one of those now.
We're going uptown.
This maybe it's because you put it in my mind, but there is an appley, like a dark appley flavor to this one.
I like this one too.
Yeah, not like a cider, but like a fresh, dark, almost overripe apple kind of thing. And I didn't like it at first, but it's growing. I do like it now. And it's just because I was coming off of my super favorite, the clover.
Yeah, the clover. Yeah, the clover just blew flavor-wise and flavor. The impact of the clover kind of blew all of them out of the water.
Yeah.
But if it's almost like we should have drank that one last. It's like the Grand Marnier after dinner. It just has so much flavor. But this quince is really nice. It almost, to me, in terms of the flavor profile, kind of where it wants to lay, it's a little bit like a really nice white wine that you would drink, like with fish or seafood dinner or something like that. It's really nice, and again, a more of a grown up flavor. It's not, it's not real sweet.
No, it finished at 1, so it started at 1080, finished at 1. 10.7% alcohol. So
it's very nice.
I really like this one too. I think this is a good dinner drink. Eat with a meal,
Yeah.
and I think it could go with any food you want to come
Yeah.
up with.
Yeah. Well, maybe not some of my cabbage rolls. I don't know.
For that, you need the mustard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that there you're certainly into the
Good.
mustard, but or actually the coriander would stand up because it's got a strong enough flavor. Well, it does. It's got a strong enough flavor. It would hold up. Because that's part of the thing is when you have food like that is you have to have a meat that either goes with it or can swim upstream against it.
That's right.
I tasted the honey.
Well,
I like the honey almost as much as I like the wildflower or the clover honey. It's really good. It doesn't have a lot of strong, kind of off the wall, flavor components or anything. It's nice and big and sweet. And I don't know that I might get a little bit of the appley stuff, in the honey itself, but it's really good.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of a dry cider. That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be an excellent honey to use to make a sizer.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. For sure.
It's plays well in that same family, and the flavors go together nicely. So there's I think there's a lot of room in there to do stuff, and I think it would be really nice. Basically, any white fruit melomel would work well with this quince blossom honey. I think it's like the not the number one popular kid, but like the next most popular kid in school. Plays well with everybody. Everybody likes him,
Yeah.
But he's not the star,
Right.
Approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the head cheerleader's friend. Clover is the head cheerleader. Everybody wants to talk to her, but you can't get close sometimes.
I'm going back. Number one, the carrot blossom. I like a lot. It's really, now that it's opened up, and now's the part of the show where I say it's different tasting it warm than cold, but it's opened up nicely. There's a whole lot of spices in there. It's probably the most complex. The carrot blossom is probably the most complex of all of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to turn that into a carrot cake mead. If I do, you'll get some bottles. I have a pretty good idea how, but if I do, you'll get some bottles. We can talk about that. But
yeah,
I'm
turning mine into a carrot top mead. Just putting up props.
Yeah, the problem with a prop comic is they're funny, but they make a mess.
Yeah. Every time I open one up, there's a new couch. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's probably steroids in there somehow. Allegedly.
That's right.
Although
Allegedly,
a carrot top mead would be better than a Gallagher mead because then you'd have to.
That's right.
You get those watermelon components.
Yeah.
And you feel like you've been hit by a hammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Like I said, I kept these fairly low. They're only 11%. Except for the coriander. The coriander's like 9%. And honestly, the coriander's my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, I just tasted it again, and it's good. It's really good.
It's complex. There's stuff going on. I think a little sweeter would be, not necessarily for that one, but there's just a lot going on. It's very interesting, and I've had a lot of mead over the years. A lot of it, the sweet clover, like I said, is very nice.
right.
But I think like the carrot and the coriander are more interesting. When I'm drinking the coriander, I'm always thinking, what is that? What flavor? What am I tasting? What's going on? And the carrot is just like, man, that's a good mead. But you're not thinking about it. So I'm going to make full size batches of both of those easily, and probably the quince too. The mustard blossom's going to find its way into other stuff. It's a decent mead, but I don't think it's.
I just tasted it again, and it's not. I'm warming to it, but it's still not my favorite.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. Absolutely.
I think that's the beet mead of this group. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one we ran across last time. It was just, it's nice, it's fine, but it's the weakest link in the batch.
I think I would go in my ranking. I think I would. Nobody asked me, but in my ranking, I would do
it's your show.
I would do the clover first, the quince second. I would go maybe the coriander next, and then the carrot. Although I like the carrot, then the carrot, and then the mustard blossom last.
Yeah, that's pretty much there. Although I think I'd probably put the quince first. Quince, clover, carrot, mustard at the back, and I can't remember who else I'm leaving out.
Coriander.
Now, that's how I'd do it.
Coriander would be 4, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'd put it. But, Tim, I really want to congratulate you because all of these meads were well made.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a hint of stressed out yeast or oxidation or any of that kind of things that throw you off. And you go, well, gee, if it just wasn't for that oxidation, this would be really good. So congratulations for that. And I can honestly say I've had, I guess, 4 meads I've never had before because I've never had 4 of the honeys.
Yeah, which tends to happen every time we get together with Tim. It's like this is it's guaranteed this is going to be a new experience and we're going to have fun and it's most likely going to be delicious.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I drank a bottle of your mead yesterday from the previous experience that was just left over. I just don't, I just don't drink as much as I used to. So I still had some left. And I thought, we're going to see Tim tomorrow or talk to him. And I don't even know what it was, but it was at 15.4%. I remember that.
And then not much after.
Yeah.
Not much after.
And everything else is a haze,
Yeah.
Woke up handcuffed to a bed.
Yep.
She
said she was a Methodist.
Yeah.
Well, there was method in her madness. But
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe that's a hint. We should turn off the mics, or at least the recorder.
Yeah. But before anything
by the way,
is said,
if you blend the clover with the quince,
yeah,
that's good.
This is the bonus show that we should be recording.
This is the fun part.
Yeah. Well, Tim, this has been wonderful as always, and I'm sad that we're not going to get to see you in person this year at HomebrewCon, but maybe next year.
Well, I've started a new job a year ago last February, and one of the things is it's a government job, so there's lots of vacation.
Oh,
so Pittsburgh is on my list. And the other benefit is I work for the airport, so I get free parking at the airport. So, hey, Pittsburgh is definitely – I've already got it actually on the work calendar. It's like these are the days I'm going to be off in June next year.
Awesome.
You can take it up with me. So, yeah, I really, really want to get back. I mean, I full well understand, I'm full on the – we got to wear masks, it's social distance, and it's just too much for them to organize. But I do miss it.
Yeah.
Getting together with everybody, and virtual is not the same. You can't grab a guy, that you haven't seen for a year in the hall and share something with them virtually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
well, it's something to look forward to.
But I got 4 more honeys I haven't ever tried before. So we can maybe do this again.
Ooh. Well, I think we're up for it. Aren't we, Steve?
Not anymore. I'm pretty down for the count.
Not tonight.
Not today.
Oh, not tonight. Good. Okay. Well, I can do it another time.
It'll take me 6 months, to get around to it. Because you got to remember, you got to work your way through my priority list to the next experiment. And I just started something else weird yesterday, and I've got another one that I've got to start next week. So
wow.
I bought a steam juicer, so I've got some weird things going on with melomels. So, but maybe that'll be Another show.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with a song reference for Steam Juicer, but I can't. I've had too much mead.
It's really hard. I mean, maybe Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, because that was kind of a steampunk thing. No, the Toot Sweet machine in the movie, because that was steam powered. But I've had enough mead that now I'm grasping for straws too. So
well, all of this was truly scrumptious.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. It's for God's sake, turn off the recorder. All right, guys. Tim and Steve of stevesbrewshop.com. Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Well, thanks again to Tim and to Steve of stevesbrewshop.com. We continued sampling for a little bit, and guess what? By the end of it, I liked them all. Funny how that happens. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com or just fill out the contact form at basicbrewing.com. And please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. It's all until next time. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dodson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.